All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, worldwide and toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV, and our main website where you can listen to the X Zone live and our refeeds at www.xzoneradiotv.com. Don't forget, X Zone Nation, the debate of the century, September the 30th. That's a Wednesday night from 8 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern. Stanton T. Friedman is going to debate with Michael Horn the validity of the Billy Meyer case. That's right here on the X Zone Radio and TV show. Well, let's talk about the world of the paranormal. Well, just not the world of the paranormal, but World Paranormal Investigations. My two guests this hour, John and Bea Brugge, are the founders and presidents of the World Paranormal Investigations, LLC. The organization was founded in July of 2004. They organized the team with a couple of friends in the United Kingdom. The thought was that two separate countries could join together and investigate reports of the paranormal. Now, since 2004, they have conducted over 200 investigations, and their first major case was the Roth home, also known as the Watseka Wonder House in Watseka, Illinois. Joining us now is John and Bea Brugge. And hey, folks, welcome to the X Zone.
Oh, hello, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm just doing great. Thanks very much for joining us, John and Bea. Tell me, Bea, what's it like working with your better half or partner in crime when it comes to investigating the paranormal?
I wouldn't have it any other way. It's an adventure, and if I want to be on this adventure with anybody, it would be him.
John, what was it that started you two on your investigation into the weird, the strange, and the World Paranormal Investigations?
Well, it's actually quite odd because we were actually a guest of yours. We first started out about 10 years ago. We were a guest. And but when we first started, I was a complete skeptic. I grew up in Colorado, and I met Bea's pen pals, and she had told me that her home that she lived at in Cleveland was haunted. And so I was kind of nervous to meet her because I didn't know if she was crazy or if she had some legitimacy to her. And I came out to meet her family for the first time, and when I did, I had my first encounter with something that I couldn't explain. And it happened in the house, and once that happened, it just kind of sparked a kind of an interest in me to where I was like, you know what, hey, I want to start researching this and do a little bit more in depth to see exactly what lies out there.
So can we say it was love at first spook?
I don't know if she scared me or if I scared her, but I have to hand it to Bea because she actually had the nerves to actually come up and meet me for the first time out in Colorado. So
yes, I did.
So we didn't spook each other too bad.
So what changed you from being a skeptic to a believer, John?
Well, after my first experience in her home, which no one was in the home at the time, and I had taken a shower. Everybody was out of the house at the time. And when I got out of the shower, I was walking up the stairway, and I had seen the door that I I had closed and latched shut was open about 6 inches or so, and I was like, okay, that's kind of odd, but maybe someone's home here. Maybe someone came home. And I started calling out names of the family members, and no one was responding. And they had a little miniature schnauzer that was actually facing upstairs to the upstairs bedrooms and just barking like crazy. So my first thought was, oh, great, I'm here in the house alone. Someone broke in. And I walked upstairs to check out the house, and no one was in the home. I had heard the footsteps. I thought people were in the house, but there was no one there. So that was kind of something that opened my eyes, but I still wasn't firmly ready to believe that it was something paranormal. I thought that there might have been some type of explanation for it, but it sparked it just enough to where I started doing further investigating in different locations.
Now, Bea, what was it that started you as the believer way back when? You know, here you guys are, your pen pals, and how did you put it to John like, hey, big boy, I believe in spooks. Do you want to come over here and get spooked so we can cuddle together?
Well, I mean, the house I grew up in, you know, the way we were raised in the home,
right,
it was not talked about. We all knew it existed, but it was something that, you know, I approached my mom, and she's like, we know it's here, but we don't talk about it.
Why do you think in so many cases, and I'll let either one of you take this question, that the paranormal is kind of kept in the closet? It's not talked about. It's not acknowledged.
I mean, John may have a different take on this, but like I could speak from my experience.
Sure.
My family was very religious.
Okay.
So you start talking about spirits being in a home, and you start talking about hauntings right away. They're calling the priest over for dinner.
But, you know, that could be good. Maybe the priest will bring a nice bottle of wine. After all, they give wine away at the, you know.
Have you tasted that wine at communion, Rob?
Yeah, that's why I've stopped going to church. But, you know, when you bring religion into the paranormal, the Bible is filled with paranormal experiences and examples. So, you know, isn't it kind of funny when you talk about the paranormal or something strange happens, automatically people believe it's a demonic possession or there's something wrong. The priest comes, the minister comes with the holy water and the whole bit, as if to say there's something wrong with you, but wait a minute, Sunday, come on to church, we'll talk about the Holy Spirit.
Well, you know, and that's what's bad about it is, especially with the entertainment business today, they've got so many shows out there, and every one of them, all the spirits that they encounter are demonic, they're evil, they're this, they're that. And I think society as a whole has started to think of the paranormal as something bad. And obviously, like Bea said, the minute you start talking about the paranormal, you've got the priest coming over wanting to have dinner and bless the house. And then also at the same time, a lot of people don't want to come out and say that they've had experiences because they're afraid they're going to be looked at as if they're crazy. And I mean, to this day, I've still got people that give me a hard time about it because I think they're afraid to accept the fact that there's a possibility of something, life out there after death.
I think another thing that adds to this fear or skepticism is the lack of understanding of what we're dealing with.
Absolutely. You know, it's, you know, we've been doing this now. July 19th is 11 years for WPI. And I've told our clients and a lot of people that we've met over the years that this is a continuous learning experience. I mean, we're not going to go out there and tell everybody we know everything about everything with the paranormal because no one truly does. Every time you turn around, there's a new door opening, no pun intended, you know, it's a learning experience. And so I think it's just, people have to look at it, and they have to not look so much at what the entertainment industry has done with it. The movies, the TV shows, everything is just makes it look bad.
Tell me, Bea, what do we know about the paranormal that we may not have known when you guys started 10 years ago?
Well, I mean, we're constantly learning new things. I mean, I don't truly know what's out there. I don't know if my views have changed from 11 years.
Right.
No one truly knows until we have finished our adventure here on Earth. I mean, yes, you have your life, you have your, what's it called? Help me out here.
I wish I could if I knew what you were talking about.
The people that die and then they're brought back to
reincarnation.
Yeah, not reincarnation.
Resuscitated, near-death experiences.
Right, when they have passed on and then they're brought back to life.
Yeah, it's kind of resuscitation. Yes. So,
I mean, you have those people that say things, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. There might not be. I don't know. I can't answer that.
John, let me ask you this. Out of the 200 investigations that you and Bea have done over the years, what investigation that you guys did proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the paranormal is very real and there's nothing para about it, but you know what? It's quite normal.
Oh, man, I tell you what, with all the places that we've investigated, it's really hard to pinpoint one location, but one place that I would have to say would be a location called the Majestic Theater down in Chillicothe, Ohio.
Oh, this is a good one.
This particular location, I was scratched across the face by an unseen force.
Oh, no.
And it actually, we had an experience there, well, Bea did, so strong that she actually walked away from WPI for a year and a half. And for the listeners, the location was originally a Masonic opera house in Chillicothe, and in 1918 there was a huge influenza outbreak, and there was a lot of deaths that occurred, and unfortunately the local mortuary didn't have enough room for all the bodies and to do the autopsies, so they actually took bodies over to the Masonic Opera House, and they used the stage as a makeshift morgue. They did their autopsy or their embalming there on the stage.
Oh my God!
They didn't have any place to actually put the blood, so they drained it out to the alley behind the theater, and it was later nicknamed Blood Alley. And during that time, so many bodies were coming into the opera house that they were stacking them up like cords of wood inside the dressing rooms. And when I had first walked into the place, because I am a spiritual medium, and if I go into a location, if a spirit wants to communicate, it will make itself known. I'll pick up on dates, ages, images in my mind that I can describe what someone looks like. And that happens on very, very rare occasions. So if anybody out there listening watches some of these TV shows, it doesn't happen in every room you walk into and every home you go into. But this is one location that when I walked into, I had so many spirits trying to communicate with me at one time that I couldn't even focus on one, and it just made it very tough for me to do what I can do as a medium. Well, while we were investigating, there was a particular hole in the wall, and it was just big enough for someone to squeeze through if they wanted to get on the other side. And I told Bea and our other investigator at the time, I said, I want to go ahead and check and see what's on the other side. Mm-hmm. And when I squeezed through the hole into this other room, I was standing in this this huge room, almost a chamber of sorts. There was no windows, no doors, and there was a huge mural painting of what I guess would be a Freemason, long time ago.
Right.
And when I was over on the other side of the wall, Bea, describe what you had experienced.
I was just standing there with the other investigator, and we were waiting for John to come back through. Mm-hmm. And I kind of got the feeling of really being unwelcome. I was not welcomed in this area. And just something came up behind me, chills went down my back, and just this unearthly sound in my ear. And, needless to say, I moved very quickly down the steps.
My goodness.
And it kind of alarmed me, and it took me a while to talk about it. It took me many years to finally talk about it, but I went back to the paranormal, and I'm back.
So tell me, why do these spirits hang around? Do they know they're dead, for goodness sake? Shouldn't they be going towards the light?
My take on this is, I think that the spirits that are here mm-hmm. are spirits of someone that met an untimely death. I think that depending on your spiritual beliefs, if you're in a car accident or some tragic thing happens at work, you're not really fully have enough time to prepare yourself for death and make peace with who you need to make peace with. And I think if you're diagnosed with, something like cancer, to where you're given a heads up, hey, listen, you have 6 months to live, it gives you an opportunity to make peace with your higher being and family members. And when you do pass, then you're able to move on. I do believe that there's some spirits that linger behind because they feel like they have to keep a watchful eye over family members, grandkids or children or something like that. So their spirit lingers behind because their job's never done.
You mentioned that you're a spirit medium. When did this happen? Because you had told us earlier that you were a skeptic. So when did this turn itself on?
I didn't realize that I had any type of ability. It's something that everybody has the mm-hmm. ability. They just have to learn how to tap into it.
Right.
And when we were over in England investigating with our UK team, the founder of the UK team is a medium, and he wanted to run me through a series of tests. And it's almost like a I shouldn't say a psychic test, but there was just different things that he had me try and see if I was able to pick up on it.
Right.
And from there on out, he goes, you know what? He goes, I think you have the ability. He goes, you just need to learn how to tap into it. And he gave me a great book about how to kind of ground yourself through meditation and focus on your ability when you're doing what you're doing. And so I started going out in locations, and I tried to do more focusing, and I've noticed it was almost kind of creepy when I first started noticing things happen. And I would have stuff like I would pick up on, like I said earlier, an age or
right.
a date or something, and I would tell whoever was with me in the group, mm-hmm. I would say, I'm picking up 1890 something or whatever, and they would go ahead and jot it down and then go back and see if there was any type of thing that they could confirm. And it's been very successful for me. Like I said, unlike what you see on these TV shows, you don't walk into every house and say, oh my God, Jim Bob's over here in the corner wanting to talk to me and this and that. It isn't always like that. Bea was actually very skeptical of my abilities until something had came up and it kind of made her a believer in what my abilities were. So, Bea?
I'm still a skeptic of spiritual mediums. I'm just a skeptic of it, psychics. And the only reason why I really started believing John is that my mother had came to him, and he started telling me things about my mom that there's no way he should have known. I've never told him. He was telling me of clothes that she used to wear.
Oh, my
gosh. Know that.
Yeah.
So that gave me a little bit more belief, but other than that.
When somebody calls you two up and says, hey, listen, I think about a problem here in my house with a paranormal event, for just using that for an example, how do you guys proceed?
Well, first of all, we go into it with a very, very open mind. Whenever we go into a location, we go into the location to prove why it's not haunted, not why it is.
I like that.
I think 99.5% of the time you can find logical explanations for the experiences that they're occurring. And we're kind of very in depth with some of our questions with our clients. I mean, we'll ask questions like, are you on any type of medications? Are you this and that? Some people are kind of like, well, that's kind of personal to ask a question like that. But you have to think of side effects that medications can cause people.
Exactly.
Some people would tend to believe that they're having a paranormal experience, but it's nothing more but side effects from medication.
Interesting. Listen, guys, we have to take a commercial break here, but please stand by. Great having you with us, John and Bea. And Exonation, John and Bea Brugge are the presidents and founders of World Paranormal Investigations. Their website is www.WPISAUK.com. That's www.UPISAUK.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this short commercial break as we continue here in the X-Zone, live and around the world from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Starcom Radio Network, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right around the world. Don't go away. Ever wondered if your advertising dollar is really working for you? If your ad would have been here, you and more than 4 million people would be listening to it right now. Contact ads at xzoneradiotv.com. Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerrean intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earthwoman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge, breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money in abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Ron McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X-Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your...
Well, everybody remembers that song from Ghost, the Unchained Melody. Exonation, our guests this hour, John and Bea Brugge. They are the founders and presidents of World Paranormal Investigations, and their website is WPI Seauk.com. All right, Bea, before we went to the commercial break, guys, you brought us to the point where you go through this how can we call it? I would it be called a questionnaire or a group of questions to basically decide whether or not the person has the sanity of having a paranormal event, or if it could be caused by some other influence? And you know what? I appreciate the way that you do it, because so many people are under a lot of stress. So many people are taking medications. There are so many things that can cause this. So, you know, why not rule it out before you start spending time and resources trying to find something that is only there in the mind of the person who made the call?
Right. I mean, we look at the cases very carefully. Mm-hmm. There's been only maybe one or two within an 11-year period that we have not taken. And it was because the stuff that they were just kept reporting to us, sending us video, was just so far out there that I could not put my team into that situation. And with the one particular case, I told the client, I said, if things are as bad as you're claiming they are and you're reporting to me, I think you need to seek someone of clergy. I said, I cannot put my team in that kind of danger.
Well, what can the clergy do that you people can't do?
Well, first of all, like, we can do things like cleansing of houses and stuff like that, but I think it's more of a spiritual belief. If you've got a strong faith in your church, that's why we would recommend someone from the clergy in order to come out. And, you know, no matter if we do the questionnaire prior to the investigation, and if they give us a long list of medications that they're on, and if everything is pointing towards could be the reason why they're experiencing the stuff that they're experiencing, we take all of the cases serious. Gotcha. So we would still go out and we would do an investigation for the person, because who knows, there might be something in the home that isn't caused by the medication. And we believe that everybody deserves an equal opportunity. Now, with that being said, there are some, like Bea said, that we have gotten contacted that just seems so over the edge. Now, mind you, we've been doing this for 11 years, and we've been to the Roth home, which is the very first case of reported possession occurred in the United States. And we investigated there, and we didn't get hardly anything. But we've got these people that are contacting us and saying that they're having relationships with incubuses and stuff like that. And they show us this grainy video that they had taken. First and foremost, yes, we do have a job to do, but at the same time, my group's safety is also a priority. And unfortunately, there are, we've came to these times in America to where there are a lot of unstable people out there.
Yeah.
And because of us being put out on the internet the way we are, you're always taking that opportunity. So we always have to make sure of the safety of everyone involved. And if we get someone that just seems completely off in right field, we do refer to them to clergy, or we're even willing to meet with them in a mutual location, a coffee shop or something, to discuss more in depth what's going on in their home, to get a better feel for what we could be dealing with.
And I mean, even the times of today have gotten so, I mean, the news alone is enough to scare you.
Sure.
But we've even had to do background checks to see what kind of homes we possibly could be going into.
And it's got to be a trust. It's got to be a trust issue on both ends, because we've got to be trusting of you going into your home to where we're in an unfamiliar territory, just as you have to have a certain amount of trust for us to allow us into your home to do what we do.
All right, so let's say you decide that you need to go into the house. What do you do? How do you proceed from that point?
Well, we would introduce ourselves. John is always kept outside while we're doing the interview and the walkthrough, and that's where we sign our paperwork. We even have paperwork that we have our clients sign, just giving us permission to be there. Once we do the walkthrough, we bring John back in, and at that time, he will go and do just a separate walkthrough and see if he can pick up anything. And then he'll come back and he'll say, well, we need to put equipment here. What do you think? and then we kind of converse, and that's how we get everything started.
How long does a typical investigation last?
It can last. We've had some that's lasted maybe 3 to 4 hours. And we've had some that's lasted 8 to 10 hours. It depends on the size of the location, activity. We leave it kind of up to the client as well, because when they have us come out, usually there are people that aren't up all night long. And so if we're doing a private residence, we will go ahead and come out for maybe a shorter period of time, maybe do 4 or 5 hours, and then come back if need be to give them their privacy as well.
What's the longest investigation you've worked on?
Oh, my God. Well, we've had a couple locations that we've done return.
We just did one, the restaurant we did, was that 12 hours?
Yeah, we did 12 hours in a restaurant down in Kentucky. And then there's been locations that we've done numerous return visits to. So that's lasted, total of maybe a couple days altogether.
So let's say you guys go into a place and you find something, a paranormal entity. What do you do? Well,
first of all, one of the big misconceptions that, once again, I think, and I have to say this, the entertainment industry has kind of gotten people to believe in, is that you can go into these locations and you can have the spirit removed. Me personally, I don't believe in that. I believe a lot of times it would be like if we came into your home, told you, okay, it's time for you to get out. You're going to look at me and be like, kiss my what?
Yeah, exactly.
And so people think that they're just objects that they can go ahead and say, okay, well, we'll just go ahead and remove this spirit from this home. And that's not necessarily the case. You want to try to communicate with them. It don't need to be a spiritual medium or anything to do that. We do, we have EVPs, video, stuff like that. And you explain to them, hey, listen, you're kind of scaring the family here. They don't mind that you're here, but if you do want to stay here, can you kind of keep it down? People don't realize how far you can actually get with the spirit by just talking to them that way. You don't provoke. You talk to them just like you would want to. If we were to meet each other on the street, I would have to approach you in a certain way. If I approached you and started, bossing orders to you, you're not going to want to talk to me. You're going to ignore every request that I have.
Sure.
And it's the same way with the spirit world. And like Bea said, you have to remember you're dealing with someone's father, mother, son, daughter, grandchildren. You're dealing with human beings. You're not dealing with objects like people tend to forget while watching some of these shows.
But what happens if the spirit doesn't want to listen to you and they decide that they want to keep on doing what they're doing?
There's really not much you can do at that point. You can tell the homeowner if they have a church that they belong to maybe have someone come out, or we have done cleansings of homes. But anybody that knows what cleansing is, you don't go in and you don't cleanse the home of a spirit. You cleanse it of the negative energy that's within the home. So a lot of times by doing something like that, it will give the homeowner a peace of mind, and it actually calms the activity down in the home.
When you're in the house, is Bea the person that deals with the homeowners, or is it you, John?
Well, me, I don't really once I come back into the home, I will talk with the homeowners. But like B said, I'll stay outside because I don't want to know anything about our cases.
I see.
Because I think if I'm subjected to some information, say, well, we know that Jim Brown died here 30 years ago, my mind is automatically going to start knowing, okay, some guy passed here. And then if I pick up on something, I have to discredit it because it's not something that I was left in the dark about.
But for the most part, I'm the one that will communicate with the homeowner through the whole entire process. I will do the interview with them. If they'll talk to them when we go to the home. I even talk to them. I even have my phone available if they're scared one night and they don't know who to turn to. My phone's on. Wow. And then I will talk to them until I know they're okay, and I give them the final report. And at that time, I'm still available.
What are your greatest pet peeves concerning the paranormal?
How long do we have for the show?
Well, we've got about another, 13 minutes.
Oh, okay, we've got to do the revised version. Go ahead.
You started off.
The biggest pet peeve with me is all these teams that are coming on because of these shows, and they want to all of a sudden become paranormal investigators, and they will do whatever it takes in order to get their to get people convinced that they're the real deal. It's very sad to where it's became in just the 11 years that we've been doing this. It's almost like TV has made it almost like a joke. Yeah. And it's really not. And people feed on these shows, and a lot of people believe in what they're seeing, and it's sad.
I agree with you. Like these shows make a mockery out of what you and other credible investigators are trying to do.
I mean, and one of my things is, I know I'm probably going to make a few people upset, but people calling themselves ghost hunters, I know that's how people relate to it, but I classify myself as a paranormal investigator.
Right.
I do my research, and a lot of people tend to forget to research their history. And I believe history and paranormal go together. And when people are talking about ghost hunting or ghost hunters, I'm not hunting ghosts. I'm not hunting. I'm investigating. I'm trying to find out why they're there. What was there prior to me walking in this building or on this land, and trying to give some dignity that a lot of these so-called groups out there tend to forget. And just the plain disrespect that a lot of people in the field, the provoking. And so that's my pet peeve.
Right.
And that's why we decided to do our own TV show, and we wanted to go ahead and show people what it's truly like to be a paranormal investigator. And I know that it's never going to be picked up by a huge network because that's not what they're looking for. But we are doing our own TV show, and we're actually filming our 4th episode tomorrow night. And it's going to show people behind the scenes what it's really like to do what we do on a normal investigation. And because it is so boring and we don't hardly ever get any activity, we're focusing more on the historical background of the locations that we're investigating, because I think people need to know more about that, like Bea said. The research that goes behind these locations, and not just all this quote-unquote activity that's happening.
Well, isn't it true that paranormal investigators, specifically in the area of of ghosts are more historian than they are anything else?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's people tend to forget that there has been so much, I guess, bad stuff that's happened, historically. I mean, you've had, huge battles like the Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg. Yeah. So much stuff that happened hundreds of years ago that would lead it to be more of a historical thing.
Mm-hmm. So where do you see the paranormal investigator, let's say 10, 15 years from now?
Most of them, I don't see them,
The most of the groups I see, the most people that have an interest in it, I think they're going to dwindle away from the field.
Right.
I think the people that are true to this field are just going to continue doing what they're doing.
Let me ask you this question, both of you. What is the biggest misconception about the paranormal and the paranormal investigation field?
The biggest misconception is that, and we touched on this earlier, that every spirit that you encounter is evil and demonic. That's just not necessarily the case. I've always had the theory that if you were, and I'm sure that we're going to keep this clean, but if you were an a-hole on this planet, that's how your spirit's going to be in the afterlife. And people will take a mean-spirited person in the afterlife and they'll misconstrue it and think that it's actually a demon when it's not. It's just an ill-spirited person. And most of the encounters that we've had over the years hasn't been that. We've had a lot of very quiet, calm, soothing spirits of such.
We've got about 6 minutes left. Tell me, each one of you, your best experience doing what you're doing.
Go ahead. Your best experience.
My best experience?
Your best experience.
Oh, my gosh. Each investigation, I take away something different from it. So I don't know if I have a really great experience. I mean, I've had my hair pulled. That's...
Well, let me rephrase it. What has been the most satisfying aspect to you with the work you're doing in the paranormal?
The most satisfying, I'd probably say, is when, out of everything with paranormal and everything, is when a client can sit there and look you in the face and say, thank you so much. You were there when nobody else was.
Mm-hmm.
In me, it would have to be a particular case that we had at a private residence, and I was actually able to communicate with the lady that was, I hate saying haunting the home,
right,
but was lingering in the home, and I was able to communicate with her and find her some closure. And we were contacted afterwards after we had done this investigation, and I was able to pick up on the particular person. We had communication through the family that lived there and said that all the activity had stopped, and I had never had a stronger connection with the spirit than I did at this particular location.
You know, the name of your organization is World Paranormal Investigations, but tonight we've just talked basically about ghosts and hauntings. What other aspects of the paranormal do you folks investigate?
That's really, I mean, we've had people that have done cryptozoology and stuff like that, and here's a thought to ponder on. You have all these sightings of Bigfoot, and everybody's having these experiences with Bigfoot. Could these Bigfoot sightings be nothing more than spirit encounters of like Neanderthal men.
Actually, we had a guest on this week. He's a scientist, and they have actual physical evidence that proves the existence of a new hominid creature that they're calling Bigfoot.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was found, the bones and the scientific evidence was found in 3 separate places near Mount St. Helens in Oregon.
Oh, very, very interesting.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll send you the link because we have their paper on our website, the entire 94-page paper. Fascinating stuff. Truly fascinating.
Very cool.
Yeah. So do you think we'll ever come to a point where we can say, all right, we know what a ghost is?
I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's a continuous learning experience. And it's just something that we're going to keep on looking at all aspects and stuff that we've captured. Every time we capture something, our first thing is we try to debunk it. We'll go ahead and we'll spend hours trying to debunk something. And if we can't, then we'll go ahead and put it on the website in order for people to give their input. And that's why we only have a handful of evidence that we gathered over the last 11 years because we debunk everything.
How many investigators are part of your organization?
Well, there's 4 of us here in the U.S. and then there's 3 over in the U.K. And we like to keep the team small. It just makes it a lot easier to deal with.
I understand. Listen, guys, we've got about a minute left. What are your final thoughts for the members of the X-Zone Nation around the world?
Just keep doing what you're doing, and especially for people that are in the paranormal field, just keep it true. Keep it as real as you possibly can. Just keep doing your researching, keep doing your teachings if you're out there teaching people about it, but always keep it real.
Guys, I want to thank you ever so much for coming on the show tonight. Continued success, and I hope that we have the pleasure of talking to you folks again one night.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Bea, take care of yourself and your partner in crime.
Thank you, I will.
All right, good night, folks.
Take care, Rob.
Bye-bye, friends. X-Zone Nation, John and Bea Brugge have been our guests. They are the founders and presidents of World Paranormal Investigations, www.WPISauk.com. I'll be back Monday night as once again we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So until Monday night, X-Zone Nation, have a safe and wonderful weekend. And as I always say to you at this time of night, always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.